Hello and welcome to the Midgar Press. My name's Jay. So, welcome back. We are getting into the adventure book. We've already done one adventure, and now we're going to be talking about Outskirt. So, we're actually going to break Outskirt down into a couple different pieces, mainly because there's a lot to cover with Outskirt. We're going to cover the arrival. We're going to cover the situation. We're going to cover some random events, maybe some rumors, and then we're going to look at a pretty map. Personally, I think we're only going to do the arrival and the situation just because there's so much to unpack. We can do the random events and rumors the next time around, cover the map, and then we can start with locations on another episode. I don't want to try and keep you all too long. I know me reading this verbatim can be pretty boring. So, Outskirt. The village of Outskirt has developed around a crumbling temple ruin from the golden age of the dragon emperors. Most of the buildings are simple log cabins or rough timber houses constructed in the last decade by adventurous settlers and fortune hunters. Outskirt is a place. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Outskirt is a place far away from honor and probability, filled with dreams and adventure, where every rumor and kind smile may lead you to glory, wealth, and everlasting fame, or to a sudden and excruciating death. Boom, just like that. The arrival. So after you complete the opening scene, and look, you don't even have to complete the opening scene. Okay, if you don't want to run the opening scene for your players, that's fine. You don't have to. They suggest running it just because it adds more to the story as to how they get specifically to Outskirt. And that's kind of why they suggest running the opening scene. But it's just a suggestion. You don't have to. You can just have your players in Outskirt already. But from the opening scene to Outskirt, it takes roughly a day's march to get there. Even if they go somewhere else first, they will likely end up in Outskirt sooner or later. The vegetation thickens into dense forest as the player characters descend towards the misty veil. Luckily, they can simply follow the remains of the same old path winding its way through the mountains and down into the forest, which means it takes no bushcraft roll to find their way to Outskirt. But if you think about it, they're coming down at an incline or a decline. So they would be able to see the town in a fair amount of the Misty Vale as it is. So yeah, no bushcraft roll. Here are the weathered milestones, or here and there are weathered milestones protruding from the terrain. Some of them decorated with stylized archaic crowns. A few kilometers from Outskirt, the forest thins out and opens into cultivated fields. Soon the player characters and squelching along muddy wagon tracks read or act out the following text for the players as they approach Outskirt. The weapon tracks give way to a paved road that cuts through the high green fields. Countless small smells invade your senses: manure, smoke, and rotting vegetables, but also freshly baked bread and grilled meat. The road leads to a settlement surrounded by a palisade with lots of small houses with smoking chimneys visible beyond its sharpened logs. The village gate is closed and flanked by two low but sturdy towers of stone, with crenellations and pointed wooden roofs. Drawing closer, you hear the stern voice of a man barking at you from one of the towers. Halt, strangers! State your names and business, or turn back to the forest. This is a place of peace and decency. The tower is located at 2A. So this is 2A, and that's 2B. So north is 2B, south is 2A. The man in the tower is Hardy, page 19, which we'll get there because it talks about the NPCs. He wants to know their names and why they've come to Outskirt. If they answer his questions and assure him that they come in peace, the gate creaks open. Should the player characters ask questions, though, Hardy firmly refers them to Wagenscheld at the Three Stags Inn. So the current situation. Outskirt is the hub for the adventures that make up the Secret of the Dragon Emperor. Now, this is kind of like what you would read to yourself as the GM. You're not necessarily reading this out loud so that the player characters can hear it. Now, if you want to take some of this and give it to your players, by all means. There's no sense that you can't give them the information. Of course, you want them to work for some of the information, but it's up to you as the GM. So it is a place where the player characters can upgrade their gear and purchase new weapons, hone their skills, and recover their excursions, or between excursions. But it is also a place where you can plant clues with the player characters must find to progress the story. When the characters arrive in Outskirt, it is important that they quickly learn about the legend of the Dragon Emperor's statues, or statuette, and the sword, Draman, on page 8. So that way they're kind of drawn into the adventure. Having gained clues in the opening scene, hence the map and the bottom piece of the statuette, they will likely ask around the village, and there are several people who can tell them the myth. For example, Lorana, who also goes by Annabelle, the secret Softmaw cultist at the Three Stags. You got Shadowleaf. She's an Eladin knight at the Three Stags. And Darnoth, a mystic at the Chapel of Eldarin, or Eladin. Yeah, Eladin. That's what I've been calling it. The Dragon Temple. So Outskirt is built around an ancient temple where the Dragon Emperor Eladin and his descendants are buried. Little of the building remains today, but in a crypt beneath the ruined walls rests Draman, the magical sword coveted by Eladin, nemesis Sothmog. Opening the entrance down to the legendary weapon requires the fully assembled statuette of Eladin, which must be placed in a certain niche. Read more under location number 8, which we'll get there. Like I said, we'll get there, I promise. The Demon Cultist. So, there we go. The Demon Cultist. In Outskirt, they will meet Lorana, the Sothmog worshipping demon cultist mentioned by Master Weatherman. Now, granted, the players don't know that she's a cultist or that she worships Sothmog. Again, this is more for information that we as the GM are supposed to know. It says she has received 2 orders from Koth to monitor the temple ruin and keep an eye on adventurers visiting Outskirts. Lorana can usually be found at the Three Stags Inn, where she works as a maid under the name of Annabelle. She communicates with Koth through messages delivered to the Isle of Mist by demonic bats. She has a handful of lesser cultists at her command, led by the bitter mallard warrior Quasimodo. Quasamund. Yeah. The player characters are immediately watched by Lorana. She identifies them as competent adventurers and a potential way to Umdurman. If the player characters start asking questions about Lorana or the secret of the Dragon Emperor, she quickly makes herself known. Even if they are passive, Lorana will approach them under a suitable pretext. Lorana's plan is to let the player characters find the statuette pieces and the entrance to Umdurman before taking the sword from them and bringing it to Koth. She does not reveal her connection to Salthmon, but tries to trick the player characters by feeding them important information mixed with lies and half-truths. She tells from the legend of Umdurman and then continues. Now, before I read this, think about this. If they're strong enough to get all the statue pieces, or statuette pieces, and then get Umdurman, and you're just going to walk up and take it from them, no, girl. Nope. That's not happening. So, this is where she tells the legend of Umdurman. I'm part of a sacred organization called the Truth Society, which strives to bring ancient artifacts and lost knowledge back to humankind. You strike me as a capable adventurer. Would you help me find the lost statuette pieces and open the crypt of Eladin? Our order is not rich, but we can offer you 50 gold coins per piece and the honor of fighting for a good cause. But beware, an order of dragon-worshipping knights is also looking for Umdurman. They seek to reestablish the old draconic empire and enslave everyone living in the Misty Vale. So not only does she give them like, hey, can you do this for me? But she also tells them that this bad group of people are going to try and enslave everyone in the Misty Vale, which is good on her part. Even though she's the bad person, that's good on her part because it sets her aside from, it misleads the fact that she's the bad person. You know, it's like, oh, hey, yeah, watch out for them. You know, it helps her. I like it. If the player characters accept the quest, Lorana tells them about one or more adventure sites where pieces of the statuette may be found. And that's the rumors on page 17. Should the player characters expose and neutralize Lorana before finding Umdurman, it is instead Quasamund who appears or arranges the ambush in the temple area. Read page 27. Stubborn players. If the players turn down Lorana's quest and only want to go treasure hunting in the Misty Vale, let them have their way for a while. It is a long campaign, and there are several NPCs out there that can put them on the right track, including Orc Chieftain Maladuke and the She-Spider Shikaka. Increasing demonic omens should motivate them as well. And I fully agree. If your players at first were like, no, we're not going to do that treasure hunting for the statuettes, we want to do our own treasure hunting, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of adventures that they could do just because, and there's so much time in between getting from Outskirt to one of the adventure sites. Like the closest one is Rittermount, and it's 2 days travel. So it's 2 days there, you do your thing, and then 2 days back. That's a lot of travel time. That's a lot of potential situations that you could find your players in. So you can only imagine what the further places are. A week, 2 weeks? I don't know. But again, let them do what they want. If they want to go ahead and jump into treasure hunting for the statuette pieces, cool, perfect. If not, let them play around. Trust me, they will find out. And that's where we're going to leave it today. We'll cover random events and rumors next episode. So yeah, go ahead and like this video, comment down below. What are you excited about finally getting into Outskirt? Does it seem enticing yet? Trust me. Once we get to the locations, it'll be more enticing, I promise. So until next time, live on and game on, my friends.